Frei. We're live.
We're live, yeah. You're a
What time
little
is it?
blurry, but we understand given your circumstances right now. You're coming to us from the middle of nowhere because you're going to be that kind of politician who lives off grid and critiques the system and kills your own food and only comes in for the legislative meetings. Okay, so everybody, I think we're live on ROKFIN, so we should be good.
If you see my hands moving, are they smooth or are they too pixelated?
It's pretty pixelated, but we'll get the idea. I mean, isn't that really how politics works anyway? It's not really a clear picture. I feel like life is imitating art right now.
Forget it. I'm gonna go closer to the house, so maybe I can get better Wi-Fi. I'm gonna sit down right here, and if the Wi-Fi is not gonna be good here,
on me right now. At least we can't blame it on my Wi-Fi.
Oh no, this is definitely me. But okay, I think this is good. Let me see what the connection says. I'm not seeing the. Oh wait a minute, let me see the comments. There are the comments. Okay, good. Yeah, I've got this is as good as gonna get, people.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Okay, so everybody, if you don't know, here we have Viva Frei, who is, how do you say it? YouTuber, Montreal YouTuber turned, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber.
Yeah, that is. I'm going back into the shade. It's gonna be better lighting. Okay, Montreal
also
litigator turned YouTuber.
Extremely OCD about his presentation, even on vacation.
Yeah, no, this is much better. The lighting is less sharp. Yeah, so Montreal litigator turned YouTuber. The first interview I did with podcast with Eric Hunley was a while back, but we went from day one to day present, which was a different day back in the past. But started practicing law and didn't like it, and then got into this thing called YouTube, and discovered that the world around me was changing faster than I was able to adapt. And if I don't do something that I think is going to at least change the discourse or add to the discourse, I'll be the angry guy yelling at the computer from his car. So,
which you already are, but now you're going to do something in addition to that.
Yeah, the idea of getting elected is the outlandish thought, but the idea of being able to contribute to the discourse and at least sensitize people to certain ideas which have been demonized and sort of brushed aside for the last couple of years. If I can do nothing else other than that, it'll already be value added for the next election cycle, and then more people start speaking up and speaking out, and then things snowball from there.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. What are you doing?
Okay, officially. So other than what everyone knows I've been doing for 2 years, I am running for, it's called MP, Member of Parliament. Now, I think that the scary thing is I think I know more about the American election system than the Canadian one, given all the research I've been doing for the last couple of years on my channel. But Canada has the federal system and the provincial system. Much like the States, we have federal government, provincial government. The federal government consists of ridings. The entire country is broken up into electoral districts, what they call ridings, 338. And those are the members of parliament who represent their ridings, speak to, go to Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, and speak to issues, make their voices known, and then, vote on things like carbon taxes, whether or not they want to symbolically not hold an election until the pandemic is over, things like that. And we represent our respective ridings on all matters federal. So it's an MP for MP is member of parliament, MPP is member of provincial parliament, and that's basically the federal thing, but at the provincial level.
And how did you arrive at the decision that you wanted to do this? And somebody did add, your wife must love you a lot to allow you to.
She did. I don't think anybody expects me to win, but she did know that it was inevitable regardless. It was inevitable and unavoidable because there's only so much you can do in one line before you feel compelled to do something in another line. And it's, I've seen, I'm not trying to be melodramatic. I have seen the world around me shift in a way that I never thought conceivable in such a short period of time, if ever. And you have to do something at some point productive. Otherwise, that's it. You go back to being silent and living day to day and working some job and not having any aspirations of making any change and just trying to, do the best you can for the rest of your life. And that's fine. But I think I'm sufficiently stubborn that I don't think I could accept doing that for the rest of my life.
Your looks really clear right now. What issues are you running on? E. Clark would like to know.
Well, so the party that I'm running for is called the People's Party of Canada, PPC, which is an unfortunate acronym, but all of these acronyms are bad. Like CPC, Conservative Party of Canada, is no better. In fact, anything starting with CP is bad. I mean, it's worse in my mind. Right. But all these acronyms, People's Party of Canada, look, I know how they're demonized in the media. They're called, alt-right, extreme right, right of right. It was an offshoot party started by this guy named Maxime Bernier, for anybody who's not French, who defaulted, who had a falling out with the traditional Conservative Party over policy and, I don't want to say ethics, but issues of principle. So he left the Conservative Party and started the PPC, People's Party of Canada, in 2018. So I guess in a sense, it is more conservative than the Conservative Party, but there's nothing in it that's conservative. On issues of conscience, they don't have these litmus test policies that they require all of their party members to adhere to. People can believe different things on matters of conscience. On policy issues, I don't know what's conservative or liberal or Democrat or Republican anymore. If believing in fundamental rights is conservative, I guess it's conservative. If believing in the Constitution is conservative, I guess they're conservative. But I don't view these issues as conservative versus liberal. I view them as like issues of freedom, issues of Constitution, issues of rights. And if you're not for those, what are you for? And so basically the PPC, I'm not trying to sell this to anybody. It's just my discovery, are the only party that have been fighting for constitutional rights for Canada, for Canadians. Whereas, Trudeau the current government seems very content sacrificing Canada to the rest of the world. And there's nothing wrong in sacrificing and compromising and getting along with other nations. But when you're acting not in the best interest of your own citizens, I don't know what you're doing leading that country. And so PPC originally demonized because Maxime Bernier had some run-ins and some unfortunate events politically. There was a whole scandal of this guy from the Conservative Party that was, funding these anonymous fake accounts to post racist and xenophobic comments on Facebook, then financing some think tank to pull up those comments to make the PPC look like racist xenophobes, ran articles in the media. I've seen the way it works. They were demonized in 2018, but I've gotten to know them and the party since. And if I'm going to do something, this is the only party to do it with.
Yeah, I remember hearing Michael Malice say something about America going in and liberating Canada. I don't know if that's a good idea, considering what happens to some countries when America goes in and liberates you. But when you talk about the issues of Canada versus the United States, for those of us, or I mean, obviously, I'm not sure you have your thumb on every geopolitical issue, how COVID's affected different countries. But let's talk neighbor to neighbor. What are some of the differences that are you're experiencing in Canada and your part of Canada that you feel like are even more extreme than here in the United States?
Well, I mean, it even varies within Canada from province to province, but Ontario and Quebec, they've been, more draconian than, I don't even want to use other countries as a comparison, but just take your stereotypical draconian repressive country. Canada has been, Quebec at the very least, Ontario as well, has been even worse than that. I mean, for anybody who can't imagine, we had a curfew in Quebec for 4 months, 5 months. It was supposed to be a 1 month curfew from January to February to not cause an overwhelming of the hospital system. This is 1 year into the 2 week to flatten the curve. I mean, Quebec had a curfew. Quebec did not allow you to have any other people in your own homes, in your own private homes over Christmas. Quebec shut down non-essential businesses. Quebec shut down non-essential businesses and allowed essential businesses to remain open, but shut off, blocked off the non-essential items within those essential stores. So you literally had saran wrap over birthday cards in pharmacies, whereas the rest of the pharmacy could remain open for essential items. Draconian, idiotic, arbitrary, capricious, and absolutely unconstitutional, in my humble opinion, to tell anybody who and what they can have in their own home. I mean, they basically, I didn't get into a fight because I don't do these fights on Twitter or wherever. Someone said, oh, it's not like they're stripping you of your property, putting you in camps, etc. So you have nothing to complain about. I didn't respond to it, but I was going to respond. Telling me that I can't have people, telling me what I can do with my own private property is stripping me of my property. Locking me in my home after 8 o'clock is stripping me of my property. Preventing me from traveling is stripping me of my property if I were to have property in other provinces or countries. They stripped us of our peaceable enjoyment to private property, right to travel, association, religion, and few people batted an eye, and those who did were demonized. And the media, I can get into the media corruption, but that's what they did in Canada. And it was shocking. They did it more so in Quebec. In the Maritimes, where I'm at now, they had a bubble. So they were blocked off from the other provinces. But within the Maritimes, apparently, they were allowed to leave. They didn't have a curfew. So small blessings. There was a bubble that was created, a maritime bubble, where people from the Maritimes couldn't travel except for essential reasons to the other provinces. But they weren't locked in their homes as of 8 o'clock at night from January to, I think it was to May, April or May. But it is madness to think that terms like curfew, lockdown, social distancing have become terms that are synonymous with the government now and not the most oppressive regimes that are to be avoided at all costs. And all of it over COVID, which is not to undermine or minimize COVID. It's just to say objectively, if COVID is what justified this, it's going to happen time and time again in the future, because COVID was, by all accounts, there can be things that are much more radical than COVID, and easily so, to warrant and justify similar measures in the future. And it should never and can never happen again.
I'm assuming that part of your campaign strategy is going to be using your platform on YouTube. You have quite a few subscribers. Are you concerned that you may be censored on that very message, considering YouTube's adversarial stance towards questioning COVID narratives?
Well, so I'm not using my main channel for this, and I'm clearly dichotomizing it because, and not for fear of censorship. I've said it before, politics ruins everything. People did not follow my channel for political pushing, for political commentary to some extent, but they didn't follow my channel because I was running for office and they wanted my message on the PPC. So I created a separate channel. It's called Viva PPC. We are, at last check, almost at 10,000 subs. And that is where I put the stuff that is dedicated to PPC, because I'm not preaching politics, and I'm not there to all of a sudden start imposing my political beliefs or imparting them on the 350,000 subs who followed me not for that purpose from the beginning. And it was one of the biggest issues I had with Casey Neistat back in 2016. I followed him. I loved him. I did not follow him for politics. And it's not that I didn't care about politics. I did not follow him for his take on politics. And when he all of a sudden puts out a video telling his viewers to vote for Hillary, I was like, I didn't follow you for this. It's not that I don't respect your political opinion. It's that I didn't follow you for it. And for you now to take your platform that you've created on another pretext so you can impart your political beliefs and tell me what to do, I didn't like it, and I don't want to do it. So I created the separate channel. I'm going to keep the two messages separate. There's some stuff that I'll cover, the legal stuff of Bill C-10, Bill C-96, Bill C-16, all of these anti-free speech, control of the media. What was the other one? I'll cover the constitutional stuff, but not with the PPC angle. That I'm going to try to keep separate in as much as possible.
Do you have a direct incumbent competitor, or just competing for a seat in the party?
I have a direct, unless he doesn't run again, there will be, sorry, OCD is going to drive me crazy. Unless he doesn't run again, there will be an incumbent, Marc Garneau, who is now the it's either Minister of Transport or Minister of Foreign Affairs. It's one or the other. He bumped around. He's the astronaut. He's an astronaut, old guy, white hair, distinguished, who is the MP for the Liberal Party, who, when the debate comes, and if he runs again, I will be hammering him for having tolerated the corruption coming from the head of his party and sanctioned it and tolerated it and approved it and endorsed it. But I will have an incumbent if he runs again. It should be Marc Garneau. And he got 53% of the vote the last time, I think. So what I'm hoping is that the Conservative Party it gets wise and doesn't run a candidate in my district, if only so that there's a little bit more of a split and not a sharing of the votes. And also so they don't get embarrassed in terms of what their results might be if they try to run in a very liberal riding. But, I hope they don't run so that I can take a very direct debate to the incumbent, who should be Marc Garneau.
Okay, there are a few questions coming in about this, and I don't know if this is your specialty, but I figure I'll just ask.
Let's hear it.
Why do they want to get rid of the Indian Act? And then someone else said, replace the Indian Act, which keeps Indigenous peoples in a state of dependency and allows the federal government to control most aspects of their lives. Is this something that you know about? I just figured since people were asking about it.
I know. I don't know enough about it to purport to be an expert, but I know the Indian Act. Well, the Indian Act. I don't know if I thought they renamed it to something that would be more politically correct than the Indian Act, but that might have been the renaming from what it was previously called, which was even more politically incorrect than the Indian Act. And anyone can look it up. It used to be called La Loi sur les Sauvages. I think it was 1916. But the Indian Act, basically, people don't really appreciate this, but I think it's the same thing in the States, that the reserves which were set up for natives, we're not calling them Aboriginal, Indigenous peoples. The reserves that were set up, they're exceptions to the federal property. I mean, it's basically the federal granting Indigenous peoples their own lands where they can, have their reserves. But they can't own land. The individual natives cannot own land on their own reserves. So there's no private property rights for individual Indigenous people on their own property. The problems within the reserves are not just well known, not just well documented. They're decades old. All sorts of social problems. There's I think 58 active boil water advisories on reserves now in Canada. Freshwater problems, education problems, domestic abuse problems, drug problems, suicide problems. Everybody knows these problems that are they affect all communities, but statistically exponentially more so on the reserves. And nobody talks about it, and what they end up doing is just pretending that old crises are new crises so they can get their photo opportunities and ignore the current crises. But the treatment of the Indigenous people in Canada, it's objectively terrible in the sense that there's no ownership of property, there's no independence. The flip side is, how do you reconcile two different modes of life in the current era? And what is the proper solution? It is complicated, but the problems are known and have been known for a long time. But yeah, first and foremost is the social problems, the lack of independence and the lack of autonomy, which has been sort of the federal policy for the last 150 years.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay. Hi, Allison. Thanks for your work. Viva, you were late to your first campaign interview. I don't think this is your first, but
no, not just that. They haven't called the election. This is not a campaign interview, and I'm blaming the snowball. For anybody who didn't like this stupid thing, it seems to be broken. So I blame tech.
It's a good, like security blanket. You just hold it and feel very important holding your microphone. Probably more famous than you realize, Viva on the Streets campaign, Go Grassroots. Thoughts on foreign donations? Okay,
so I'm going to do an update video for my episode 4 of Viva PPC. I've had a learning curve. In terms of running for office, it's funny. You got to get selected by the party. Then you have to establish an EDA, which is an electoral district association. Then you have to set up a bank account. The bank account is in my name, the campaign of my name, but I have no signing authority over the account. I got to get a CFO, got to get an accountant. Then we have to get approved by Elections Canada. The donations, we can't take donations from the States, and as well you shouldn't. It's foreign donations. So as it's set up now, the credit cards that are not from Canada will be rejected. Maximum donation of $1,650. We're not yet approved by Elections Canada for our EDA, so we can't give tax receipts. But once we're approved, we can give tax receipts. But most people don't care about tax receipts. It's about supporting the campaign. But it's been an amazing learning curve. The French word is paperasse, paperwork, or pain in the ass paperwork, through the roof to do this. But I've had a good committee, and the existing committee from 2018 has been helping me, and with the current team. So they're really they're helping out.
Did you break your microphone swatting mosquitoes?
I'll tell you what, I'm in a screened area now. So the stream I did with Barris and Barnes, I got destroyed by mosquitoes.
We don't have mosquitoes around here, but we have a ton of flies. So we got one of those tennis rackets with the electrocution device in the
Oh,
middle,
yeah.
you know?
Well,
And
I've never used one, but I've seen them.
I'll tell you, the smell after some of those kills is not something I want to remember. Okay, a question from ROKFIN. Why not go regional? Wouldn't that be better to represent people? Is the federal government worth strengthening by participating?
Well, so it's a good question. I mean, why not go regional? It was out of necessity, but also I don't think there's a party in the province that espouses the beliefs that the PPC does that is objecting to what's going on the way I think they should be. Provincially, you got the CAQ, Coalition Avenir de Québec. I can't even remember what the other parties are, but they're all basically in line. And the other thing is, provincially, it seems we're going to see what happens in the next election that the Coalition Avenir de Québec, François Legault, has so much support, and there's no meaningful opposition. I'm not there to create the opposition. There's only so much I can do. I only have so much bandwidth. It's just that when I saw what I saw going on federally in terms of constitutional rights, it is a national issue that I think would be more productive for me to get involved in now than provincial politics. Especially since provincial, I don't see it going anywhere. I think it's going in the direction it's going, and I think I can make some more headway and national headway going federal. Because the other thing, and I've said it, a couple of times before, this is also not just about winning or losing in my riding. This is about normalizing the PPC so that people look at this party and don't just see what the CBC, what the government-funded CBC has been saying about the party for the last 3 years. That they see it is people who love the Constitution. It's people who love their country. It's people who love individual rights. It's people who love the environment, and it's people who love diversity. And once the rest of Canada sees that, supporting it and being a part of it will be less taboo than it currently is. I know that I felt the pressure of the tabooness before jumping into this, but at some point you have to jump off cliffs and grow wings as you fall. As whoever remembers who said that, it's not Kurt Vonnegut. Someone said it. Someone smarter and more literary than me. Someone's going to get it.
My babysitter said it once. Okay, my friend just texted, and God said, "Let there be Satan, so people don't blame everything on me, and let there be lawyers, so people don't blame everything on Satan." George Burns. What if you do win, and then you're stuck with these people? And now, I mean, granted, okay, you were a lawyer, but yeah, I mean, have you thought about the fact that you might actually win, and then now you're gonna have to do this work, and then what's that gonna mean for life and family and everything?
So that's what I haven't thought about. I have thought about what if I actually win. I mean, I know that I'll stay in Montreal. I think you can have an office in Ottawa. Ottawa is an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from Montreal, so it's that for me. It's just around the corner. But every fear hides a wish. Watch out what you wish for. But then again, he who dares nothing need hope for nothing. So it will. I'll deal with it one way or the other. It would be the biggest blessing to win, because it would mean that there's enough people out there, especially in my riding, which has gone liberal for the last 2 decades, with the exception of one time when they voted in the NDP, the New Democratic Party under Jack Layton before it turned into what it turned into now. It would be a blessing. It would be an honor, and it would be the next chapter of my life. And then we'll see. We'll just adapt as it goes.
Please ask him if he's prepared for spooks and political operatives to run dirty tricks operations against him and his family. And that comes from locals. And I guess, since Robert's not here to plug you guys, you should probably plug your locals.
Viva Barnes Law. So I'll do it properly so we can get the sound clip. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. Barnes does it better. Yes, I hate the word spook because I always thought it meant something else growing up. But first of all, everybody knows I am compulsively neurotic. We got one donation that was in excess of the legal maximum. I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't something I ever thought of. So then we had to immediately refund it and then set a limit for our donations. But this is how my brain thinks. My first reaction, someone's trying to sabotage the campaign by donating more than the legal amount so they can then say that the campaign accepted an amount above and beyond the legal requirements or legal limitations. I had to write a personal email saying, I don't know if you intended to do this, but if you did, this is why we had to reimburse it. My brain thinks 1,000 miles an hour. I see that part. The honeypot thing, no one ever has to worry about because that is not how my brain has ever worked. I could never be gotten on the honeypot scam ever, period, without exception. People trying to do bad things. Yeah. I mean, I can see volunteers who who are there to sabotage. I mean, I'm always sensitive to these things, which makes it a little harder for me to do things in life. Not because I don't trust people, and not because I'm a control freak. It's just that I am always aware of certain risks, especially when when the game is a little bit bigger. And I don't want a mistake to happen on someone else's watch. I prefer it to happen on mine. Same thing I had as a problem when I was a lawyer in my own firm. Is it's nice to hire lawyers and you want to have a team working with you. But you need quality control, and you need to make sure that the mistakes that happen, they're always your mistakes when they happen, regardless of who did them. So you need to make sure that you're bringing on the best possible team to avoid those mistakes. But yeah, no, I'm well ahead of that and well prepared for it.
Okay, well, before we go any further, since we're promoting things and talking about contributions, I have a new sponsor. Do you drink coffee, Viva? You must.
Do I drink coffee? Oh, do chickens have wings?
Well, this is for you. Twin Engine Coffee, you guys. Check out twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. They are my newest sponsor. They keep very many of their jobs in Nicaragua. They grow, select, roast, and package all there. So they got a bunch of different opportunities for you here. I like to call it opportunity instead of just caffeine addiction. Opportunities to advance your work speed and to run for whatever office you see fit. My favorite, I have to say, is the Cuban because it's a dark roast, but you can also get their tumbler, which I have. I just can't find it somewhere in my house. Anyway, all really great coffees, USDA certified, organic, shade grown, high altitude beans, family owned. So go check them out. And then also, of course, we can't forget ending our day with a nice glass of Malbec, AllisonWinePromo.com, AllisonWinePromo.com. Get 50% off my favorite Argentinian Malbecs and 50% off shipping. One of them from the third highest vineyard in the world. So anyway, that's how you can support my channel and free speech. Let's go back to talking about campaign contributions. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, Robert actually said that your wine, I should say, Robert said your wine is actually quite good. And the coffee, well-roasted coffee is the gift that keeps on giving. You can get it and give it to people or keep it. Coffee's great. I'm gonna try this coffee, Allison, because I do look for good, authentic coffee.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this company, which I had never heard about before, is how they're fair trade certified, but even fair trade certification, there's a lot of job opportunity that is still outsourced elsewhere. And so they try really hard to do as much as they can in the local coffee community, so that, you're not just in this like export import type relationship with the consumer. You're doing a lot more, not necessarily with the consumer, but the resources and like the higher paying jobs are somewhere else. So, you just have people picking coffee beans and stuff locally, and then you're shipping off the stuff to, other places for a, 600% markup. So I like that about them. And also they like me even better that I was suspended. So that's another awesome reason to buy the coffee, because I know they're not going to just pull out the second that YouTube removes my stream again. And so on that note, I'm just curious, when it comes to like running this campaign and doing the stuff you do on YouTube and then like being a dad, and I know you don't sleep that much anyway, but have you found it difficult to do all of this? Are you a little concerned, like keeping up the speed and everything?
Well, I'm in general, I'm my only concern. It's not burning out. It's just that it's not burning out, and there's no but. I'm telling you, I'm neurotic. I'm worried about I'm always on high energy mode, even when I sleep and I wake up and I start thinking about things. And, I do wonder if it's the way I'm built. It's my chemistry. I just do wonder what I'll be like at 75, 80. But with that said, you can't know certain things. All that I know is that this is the way I'm designed. I have no problem running at full speed pretty much all the time. I have the occasional crash. It comes with its ups and downs. The high passion, high energy, it comes with sometimes irritability and sometimes high anxiety. But these are things that you learn to live with. There's nothing you can do about it. I wake up every 2 hours every night, regardless of what I do, to go to the bathroom. Ever since I was 14, 15, doctor thought it was a bladder issue. Doctor thought it might have been sleep apnea, whatever. it's just the way I'm built, and I've gotten used to it. But and the people around me have gotten used to it. But those who are not used to it do think it's a little odd. Sorry. Okay. Modest consumption of caffeine is likely good for your health long term. It's certainly a performance enhancer in the short term, safer than Pfizer. So I've discovered are the emergency vitamin C packets. But Alison, if you could pull up a question from James Con 11, it says, Viva, what do you think the first political attack on you will be about fishing drones? It was well up, but what do I think the first?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, it's James Con, a little purple avatar with a J in it.
Okay.
But I've thought about it. I've thought about it. There's one that I think it might be, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not trying to give anybody any ideas. But
okay.
The thing is this: I have lived a transparent life on social media for a long time. So there is nothing. Nobody's going to find something that I have hidden. Like nobody's going to find a video of me doing something bad, or no one's going to find like a DUI or any criminal history. I've lived a transparent life. Whether or not whether or not they go after me about the fishing drones, go for it. I mean, I'll live with the consequences of the things that I've done. Where I think it's going to be more or less honest is going to be the standard attacks of isms, obisms, and whatever. They'll say if you had Cernovich on your show, you had Alex Jones on your show, you must be fill in the blank. But I've lived a sufficiently transparent life. There's someone coming down here. I've lived a sufficiently transparent social media life for a long enough time that the track record of the falsity of those statements is going to be there. But I know that evidence doesn't matter when it comes to social media slander. But we'll see. We'll see. It's just I'm expecting it as par for the course of the game.
Okay, before we kill this and continue on just for a little further on ROKFIN, which is what I do here to try to move people off the platform, are there any other questions that you saw that you want to answer for the YouTube audience?
No,
and this one here, is Viva running just a one-time thing, or is this a possible career shift for you? That's a good question.
I don't foresee it as a career shift. I don't. It's not to say that I wouldn't like it. I know politics is dirty. I know politics is divisive. I know, like, once you say you're in politics, everybody starts viewing you with a certain degree of like a risk, or like if they invite you over for dinner, you're going to try to convert them to the political party. I'm so happy and so not satisfied, but rather I have so much gratitude for being able to do what I'm doing right now, because it is what I love doing. I think it's making the world a better place with what we're doing on YouTube, with Barnes, with everything, the whole package. I wouldn't want to give it up. And politics, I know, is the dirtiest industry. It's dirtier than law.
So what about mainstream media? I know you love mainstream media.
Well, that's a dirtier industry, because the pay is better, and the insidious stuff that people do is even worse. So no, I wouldn't want to make it a career change. But the question is, things evolve. What does my life look like in 10 years? I'm not going to be a 55-year-old guy doing videos out of his car. Do I necessarily want a studio that looks like some of the other guys? I don't know. So it's life is constant evolution. Heraclitus, you never step in the same river twice. We'll see. I can't envision it being a long-term political shift, but if I win, who knows? But then who knows what happens to the political landscape? It might change for the better, where I can have, an even better positive impact on the country and the world. Hopefully.
Okay. Just to reiterate, it's a federal seat, not a provincial seat, right? Somebody did ask what province you're in.
So now I'm in New Brunswick, but I'm from Quebec, born and raised, second generation. My parents were from Quebec. My granddad was from Poland. Grandmother, I think she might have been born in Canada, but was from the Ukraine. Maternal grandmother, Romania. Maternal grandfather, I don't know, because he passed away when my mom was very young. But so that's it. I'm from Quebec, born and raised, and I love it. I love Montreal and I love Canada, but I do not love living in a repressive. I can't live in any country that is going to sanction as a political tool of governance lockdowns, shutdowns, and basically disregarding the Constitution.
Okay, we're going to switch over to ROKFIN, everybody, and this is the question I'm going to ask as soon as we do. And you know what? If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. I'm not trying to bully you into this, because I think this is a personal choice. But you announced something about your decision regarding the COVID vaccine, and I was watching live and I saw your chat just explode. And I'm sitting here thinking, if you're really about freedom of choice for people, it's got to go in any different direction. You know, you can't get mad at somebody if they choose the opposite of you, if you are in fact about freedom of choice. So we're going to discuss that and other things on ROKFIN. So if y'all want to continue with us over there, I'm going to share the link. Yes, go ahead.
Share it, but before, I'll only say one thing as to whet the appetite of anyone who's thinking of coming over there. I'll just say one thing because it's safe for YouTube. Anybody who shames someone for having gotten the vaccine is no different than someone who shames someone for having not gotten the vaccine. And I'll leave it at that, and then we'll continue the discussion on this other platform, the name of which I don't know.
Okay, I hope you didn't give away too many details. We're not telling you anything more until we go over to ROKFIN. I just shared the link in the chat, so we'll hope to see everybody over there.
Now, I heard somebody start lawn mowing in the background. How annoying is that noise?
I can't hear it.
Okay,
except
good.
for I am so over how difficult it has been to remove my my YouTube. How did I do it yesterday, Viva? Do you remember how you do this? Oh, here it is. Here it is.
You gotta go to destinations and then remove it. But
I got it. Okay.
We're
Bye, everybody.
We're still live now.